Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we are back with another brand new video. Today's video is a pretty damn interesting one to talk about because not only do we have Rangers things to talk about and we all love some Rangers things, but on the other hand we also have almost a dress rehearsal for the old Cup quarter final coming up because this is first of a double header versus St Johnstone where not only is an undefeated league streak on the line but so is the psychological edge going in to a Cup quarter final. And as this is the first game of a 2-game spell versus St Johnstone over the next 5 days, let's no faff about here, let's get on with the actual video and we will start off as always with the oppositional preview and have a look at this St Johnstone side who do find themselves currently in the 6th spot in the league, having secured the top 6 for the split thanks to a goal from our boy Glenn frickin' Middleton. Now, of course, Glenn Middleton isn't eligible to play against us tomorrow, but still, we will be facing this side, the only other side in Scottish football to lift a trophy this season, and that is St Johnstone, who, I'll just admit, ladies and gentlemen, I completely misjudged coming in to this season, because I honestly thought the sturdy, consistent Tommy Wright leaving the St Johnstone ship would start to make it sink, and I honestly thought they would struggle all season long, but full credit and fair play to Callum Davidson, who came in to this management position, inherited a sturdy, strong-willed side that was moulded by Tommy Wright, but then went ahead and sprinkled some emphasis on attack and more attacking style and actually going after teams, and that right there has been a recipe for success this season, as again they went ahead and won a cup, they made the top 6 and we faced them in the quarter final at the weekend. It's a hell of a job that's been done by Callum Davidson, and the St Johnstone players deserve a lot of praise for actually getting on the park and making that possible, and I think all that right there really summarises why this game for me is very, very different than the norm. That when you normally play the team that is bottom of the split, you know what it's like. Normally they've accomplished their goals for the season. They've got in the split. They've got the money. Normally they've got one eye on the beach, very similar to Livingston last week versus Celtic, who barely kicked a football because they've accomplished their goals. But again, this St Johnstone side, has not only the dangled undefeated streak that's in front of them that they're going to try and be motivated to break, but also they're extremely motivated to try and put a marker down in this game and frustrate the life out of Rangers to try and get in our heads ahead of the Cup quarter final. And that right there to me is the most important factor to break down in today's oppositional preview, because it's not going to be the norm what we do here on the channel where we normally speak about the form, who's performing well coming into this game versus Rangers. All that is irrelevant because what we find ourselves in this week, ladies and gentlemen, with the double header that we now have is so damn unique. In this unique circumstance that we do find ourselves in, it's going to be so interesting to see how it affects both sets of players from kick-off. But before we do go ahead and finish up the old oppositional preview regarding how St Johnstone set up, have they tweaked or changed anything since we last played them and bet them 1-0 in February thanks to that fantastic goal by our boy Hadji? No, ladies and gentlemen, it's still pretty much the exact same, and I think if you go back and you look at every game versus Rangers, you can quite clearly see their game plan. It is that 3-5-2 or the 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it. It simply drops into a 5 when defending. It puts 5 in the middle. It floods everything in the middle of the park to try and make it as compact as possible, and it has 2 of their wide players doubling up with their fullback to try and nullify our width and our fullbacks when it was Tavernier and Barisic. Almost the infamous 5-5 formation what we saw against Motherwell this season. However, unlike Motherwell, St Johnstone always have something going forward, whether it is the ball up to the big centre forward to flop, try and win a free kick and sort of break up the intensity that way, or it's a ball out to the fullbacks to where their players, and I'm not meaning in any disrespect, they're not the quickest players in the world, but they're clever players, they can get their body in it, and again it's all about winning that set piece in and around our half to give them the opportunity to get the big boys up for the back and put the ball into the mixer, because that is where St Johnstone is the most dangerous, with those opportunities to get the ball into the box. So that's going to be a real interesting battle to see who not only wins the overflow of the game, but also the set piece battle, and not only this game but the game at the weekend. But with that being said, that gives us the perfect opportunity to move away from the oppositional preview and get to what matters most to all of us here on the channel, and that is of course Rangers. And yes, that's always when the big smile comes out and the smile gets wider. But no wonder, given with what Rangers have given us all this season, plenty of reasons to smile through a tremendous European campaign, a fantastic league campaign. And despite everything we have achieved so far this season, there were still questions asked about Rangers coming into last weekend, where it was a one and done cup game. Can Rangers raise their game and go ahead and get back to the levels? There was a lot of questions asked about this Rangers team again, and it's so great to be able to say they answered every single one of them as they went out there and reminded everyone who the best team in this league is versus the great pretenders. But now it's time for Rangers, to take all of that, take all that hype that they've got now, all that good feeling that they've got, knowing that they can play at that level, take it all and ram it down St Johnstone's throat. Because yes, St Johnstone could try and frustrate the life out of Rangers, make it difficult, blah blah blah. Teams have been doing that all season to Rangers, but we've stuck to the task, we've stayed concentrated, we've stayed focused, and we've always came through the other side. The perfect example of that being that February game where St Johnstone just defended their absolute lights off, but Hadji was there with a moment, and we've got potential moments throughout the entire squad, and it's time for Rangers to go ahead and do that, because yes, St Johnstone can leave a psychological wee edge or marker coming into this game, but so can we. We've bet St Johnstone every single time we've played them this season, and just a couple days before a cup quarter final, this is another perfect opportunity to remind them that we are the best team in the country. Now, speaking of team, there actually gives me a perfect transition into what Gary McAllister was talking about during his press conference. And no, don't worry, I'm not going to speak about the European Super League. We made a video on that yesterday if you didn't catch it. But he actually talked about the squad tomorrow is going to be different than the squad that actually plays at the weekend, as there will be a freshen up of the old squad, which makes me just think of one name and one name only, and that is none other than Scotty Wright. And it just gets me excited thinking about the prospect of him going out there and playing versus St Johnstone, who are going to make it difficult, who are going to flood it, who are going to have players pretty much all over the park in the dangerous areas to try and block it. But you think about what Scott Wright brings to the table. It's that first touch, it's that directness, and it's that cleverness and the ability to win set pieces, which again could be the key of not only this game, but the game at the weekend. Is putting balls into the mixer, and this could be the game for Scott Wright to really announce himself as a Rangers player. So that is definitely one change I'm expecting to see, especially now the boy's got a cheeky wee new haircut. And by the way, can I just say, I appreciate the fact that Scotty Wright's went out here and got the Steven Gerrard haircut so he gets a start tomorrow. I've got to appreciate that shithousery and that hustle, Scott Wright. But of course, it might not just be the likes of Scotty Wright that comes in. Changes may be forced to happen, because today is the day that we find out the result of the appeal from Rangers for our boy Bassey, for our boy Patterson, and our lad Mr. Zungu. Yeah, today is the day. It's just unfortunate that with less than 24 hours to go, we haven't been told whether or not the three boys are actually eligible to play. Now, I imagine by the time you're actually watching today's video that the news is actually out there and we know whether or not they are or they aren't eligible to play tomorrow. I'm going to guess and I'm going to predict, and you know what I'm like with my predictions anyway, but I imagine the SFA will uphold their original decision and all three players will be banned. I just hope during the appeal process and everything that's went through, there may be a tweaking of the amount of games that's actually been suspended, because Gerrard and the likes have actually brought forward some interesting comparisons to players that broke the rules and got this and this, so why is it different for our laddies and everything like that. So I'm hoping there is a wee change in there, because not only would this game would have been perfect for all three of them, but you're looking at Nathan Patterson right now is playing at such a high level that he is literally bursting down doors to get into that Scotland national team for the Euros. And can you blame anybody for looking at Patterson and saying, aye, I won that in there? His performances have been outstanding. I mean, you've got Steven Gerrard coming out here after the Celtic game saying if there's a better Scottish right back, than Nathan Patterson, that he hasn't seen him. And I agree completely. There's no one anywhere near the level that he is playing it. So it's a real shame if the ban does go ahead, and that does hurt them for the rest of this season. But again, it's one of those, they done the crime, now they have to do a little bit of a time. But again, I just hope if the SFA does uphold it, that they tweak the games suspended and give these boys another opportunity to play again this season. But again, I don't know for certain as I'm currently recording today's video, despite it being less than 24 hours, which in itself is an absolute shambles that none of us know if free players are actually eligible, to play in the game. But if they are banned and Patterson is removed from the occasion, that obviously means that Tavernier will need to come in maybe a couple of days earlier, because I can imagine the plan was to get Tavernier minutes in this game tomorrow, but probably from the bench to build them up, then go ahead and play him in the Cup quarter-final. But if you look at it, if Patterson is removed from the equation, that equation's already without Balogun, who's out for a couple more weeks, and Ryan frickin' Jack, who also can play at right back. So the only right back that we have right now at the football club is Tavernier, who's just back for injury. The rest of the team, though, who absolutely knows, ladies and gentlemen, and I love that about Rangers. There's so much strength, there's so much depth. It can go so many ways and still be a very strong team, which again, Gary McAllister stressed in his press conference that this tomorrow will still be a really strong team, and obviously the same for the Cup quarter-final. But that gives me into the old perfect transition into the rest of the team. As we spoke about there, Ryan, Jack and Katic is out for the entire season. Balogun is again missing for the short term. Tavernier's back off the injury list, thankfully, and everyone else is good to go if required and if needed. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're going to try and keep this one on the shorter side. That's been the oppositional preview. That's been a little Rangers conversation, and that has been the latest team news / injury updates. Now, all that's left for me and thee today is try to predict the unpredictable, and that is a Rangers game, because for about the 5th week in a row, I've been 1 goal off. I'm sick to death of this, honestly. 1 goal off. So if you want to get it right, just listen to what I say and either go a goal above or a goal frickin' below. But I do think we will have a frustrating afternoon. I do think St Johnstone will throw their bodies on the line and try to really defend to get in our heads. But again, I just believe in this Rangers team. I just think we've got too much quality. We've showed that all season long, especially versus St Johnstone, because I think personally that December performance versus St Johnstone doesn't get half the respect that it deserves. Fantastic and so damn clinical. But I do think Rangers will come away with a strong win, I should say, out of this. So I'm going to go Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0. Goals from Kamar Roof, and I'm going to go with Tavernier return penalty kick. And that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. That's us reached the end of today's video. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that like button. That helps other people find it, helps it come up in suggestions and recommendations. So that would be greatly appreciated. So would be if you are new around here and you haven't done so already, or if you could spread the word about the channel to try and help us on our way to 50k, that would be greatly appreciated as well. But unfortunately, I do have to wrap up today's video now, so I'll see you tomorrow after the game. Take care of yourselves, everyone. All the best. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.